Before we get into the video, just want to let you know that on the 12th of June, we're doing a 24-hour challenge. We're going to be visiting 20 League of Ireland grounds within 24 hours. We're doing this in aid of young Cian Byrne, who's a 10-year-old League of Ireland fan who has mosaic Down syndrome and another condition called Cree the Shat. What Cree the Shat is, it's basically a condition where his airways are blocked and he needs 24-hour care every single day from nurses and his parents who are trained to do so. So if you could help us, down in the description we're going to have the GoFundMe. It would be much appreciated. Thank you very much. Hi guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another Premier Division show and another bumper weekend. JP, how are you doing?
I am all good, Keith.
We'll start off on Thursday night where Waterford beat Drogheda United by 4-2 at the RSC, and this match was on Virgin Media. I actually watched this match on full. And just before quickly we get into the game, I still don't know how I feel about this Thursday night game type thing, JP, because I do like to try different things and see how things go and stuff like that. But at the same time, there was a dip in attendance, there's no doubt about that. And obviously a dip from the Drogheda fans because, you know what I mean, get down to Thursday and most of them are in work on Friday. And even there was a dip from the Waterford fans too. So I'm not really sure what I think about that. What are your thoughts about that, actually?
I like it. They're trying to try something different in terms of when they're showing the live game, that they're targeting their audience basically. Like example for when a match goes out live on RT on a Friday night, their target audience is probably in another League of Ireland ground somewhere else. So I like that they're trying to target it from that sense of view. But if it's going to affect attendances, then I don't like it, because as we know, we don't have a TV deal. So when we're on TV, we have to take a hit with attendances. We don't get reimbursed with that through the TV deal, etc. So because we don't have one, I think going forward, that's something that the FAI and the clubs have to look at.
I would have thought they're better off doing derby type matches if they're going to do that, though.
I agree with you there. If the likes of maybe Dundalk and Drogheda, Dublin derbies, like going to say Derry and Sligo, but Derry and Sligo still a 2-hour trip. So that's kind of like still defeating the purpose a wee bit. Or like Derry and Sligo in the showgrounds on a Saturday. I think Derry and Sligo on a Sunday in the Brandywell would probably work better than a Thursday night. I like the idea of having it on a different night to the other matches, but I don't think if it's going to affect the home gate, that I agree with it. But look, I'm not going to knock Virgin Media for trying something different. We've been calling it out for years. For somebody to try something different, now they're coming on board, and like you have to commend them on their coverage, because it's not just come online at 7:30, come on TV at 7:30 and go off again at 10 o'clock. It's a full 45-minute build up to kick off, and then after it, there's a good preview, a good review of the game, and then they get into the games that was on the same night or stuff like that there. And look, if you don't try it, then you don't know if it's going to work. We can't criticize it after one game. I think we probably have to give it a chance over a couple of games to see how it works. I know probably a few years ago RTE tried moving matches to Sundays, and fans were against that. Try and show the live game on a Sunday. But look, I like the idea. And who knows, it might work going forward when fans start to catch on there. But Thursday night, I don't know if a Thursday night's going to, because people aren't going to take time off work on the Thursday, go to the game, and then maybe have to take off work on the Friday. I think that's why a lot of people do go to Friday night away games, is because they probably don't have to work on a Saturday. So it'll be interesting to see what to do going forward. I know there is another couple of Thursday games scheduled, so we'll see.
Yeah, and the flip side was good for people that maybe didn't support either team to actually be able to see a game, because they're normally on a game on Friday. And from a selfish point of view, that was kind of good as well. And I suppose the fact there were 6 goals helped too. And Drogheda led 2-0 at half time thanks to Foley and Bava. Sorry, 1-0 half time. Bava scored early in the second half to put them 2 up. But the first goal from Foley, I don't know what Waterford were doing there. It was a terrible defensive mix up. I think they might have thought, they weren't thinking, it was a kick out. And I think they were trying to play offside for a minute. And then they realised that Grant Horton lets it back to the keeper. But Adam Foley stole in cleverly, knowing it wasn't offside. And even some Waterford fans were complaining, thinking it was offside. But apparently a lot of people don't understand that rule for some reason, that you can't be offside from a goalkeeper's kick out.
No, you can't. No, you can't.
So,
Can't be offside from a goal kick.
Corner.
Or goal kick, corner, throw in. But if a keeper is taking an indirect free kick from within his box, you can be offside from that.
This was a goal kick, by the way.
Yeah, I'm just trying to explain the difference. Like, a kick from inside the box is maybe an indirect free kick or out of the keeper's hands. You can be offside from that, but you can't be offside from the actual goal kick.
And I do think the Waterford defence got confused for a minute. It's not that they don't understand the rule. I think it's just they kind of forgot it was a goal kick, if that makes sense. And they weren't thinking probably, but Foley knew what it was because he nipped in. He was about 3 yards offside and nipped in the keeper. So fair play to Adam Foley there. And they were 1 up. And to be honest, we should have a better side in the first half, JP. They were okay relatively defensively. Waterford had 1 or 2 opportunities. Amond had one flicked off the line, which was a good effort more so than a great opportunity. And early in the second half, Bava puts Drogheda 2 up, and you're thinking to yourself that, look, Drogheda are in a great position here, but 13 minutes, well, it was more than 13 minutes, but it was actually, 17, 18 minutes of madness seeing Waterford score 4 goals, and you have to give them a lot of credit here, but Amond scores a hat-trick in the space of 13 minutes, and he gets his first, and he gets second, first 55, second 59, and his third and 68, and typical Amond type goals, particularly the second and the third, where the ball breaks and he's just in the right area, flicks a toe out and it goes in. His hat-trick was another striker instinct goal as well. And he's just in and around, sniffing around the box, and he sniffs anything, any breaks, any opportunities that present themselves, and he'll score. And you have to give him a lot of credit. 8 goals this season. There were question marks when he came in, particularly when people, I think, including myself, who looked at Owen Doyle, who was a bit younger when he came in, and thought, he was a big deal of a signing and an older striker, and we kind of branded Amond as a potentially under the same brush. But no, he's done very well. He's done extremely well, and Power scored on 74. And both 2 things here. It was a case of Waterford being excellent in that second half. They passed the ball, moved it very well, and when you have a striker who can get goals, as we said before, and the collapse from Drogheda as well at the same time. So it was a bit of both. And from Drogheda's point of view, they've conceded 30 goals now, more than any club in the league. Defensively, there were shambles in that second half, I'm not going to lie. And it's a big blow the way they've lost that game, having lost the game the way they lost the game on Friday. That's the biggest thing that Kevin Doherty would be very concerned about. As for Waterford, they're 5th now, they're 4th at the time actually on Thursday, but they look like a serious contender now for Europe. We've talked about this before, but now I'm saying I think they look like a serious contender for Europe, and massive for them, but not a devastating result for Drogheda in how they lost it. If they went there and lost 2-0, you wouldn't be talking about it as bad maybe, but it's just how they lost it again. It's sickening.
No, we spoke about this in the build-up, about how would the defeat the Galway affect Drogheda in terms of their mentality. And like, I never seen this game, but see the scoreline and at half time and then getting a goal straight after half time, they put them 2-0 up, and you're thinking, well, that their mentality is absolutely fantastic. They take what they've took against Galway, they come in against Waterford, who people maybe have been writing them off against, and take the game to them, go 2-0 up. But as you say, like, 13 minutes of madness just turned the game on the head, and Waterford went in front, and it's devastating for Drogheda really, because at that point they would have been moving 6 points clear of Dundalk and level of Sligo at 2-0 up, and it just seems to be the case of when Drogheda concede a goal this season, I don't want to say they collapse or what. It just seems to be that.
Definitely collapsed, I think, in this game. There was a feeling. Now, again, you have to give Waterford credit because I said they played really well and the tempo was up. But there was a feeling when they got that goal back that they were going to get certainly something out of the game while you're watching it. You know that feeling, you know? And Drogheda were at sixes and sevens at that point. And it's always a bit of both in that situation. It's a brilliant comeback from Waterford, but at the same time, it collapsed from Drogheda, you know? And Kevin Dart would be disappointed with that. I think as well, JP, midfield's an issue for Drogheda now as well, I have to say. They have, like Gary Deegan and Ryan Brennan have been great players in this league and have been brilliant for Drogheda. But I don't think they've the legs as a combination in the middle of the park to deal with. And it's no surprise that the later the game goes on, Waterford
Yeah,
really start to take over in that midfield with players like McDonald and that, and even Ben McCormack was dictating too. I don't think those players, as a combination, have got the legs to deal with that when the pressure and the tempo comes on. And I know their defence have got a lot of criticism from fans, but it's you know, the protection is probably struggling a little bit as well. So it's a bit of both there, I think.
yeah. I think if you're having Deegan and Brennan and midfield, you're probably looking for a bit of youth in there as well.
Mm,
They give you the legs, and um, that's probably where Drogheda's downfall is in the last two games. Is like as the game has gone on, they
tired.
haven't been able to. They've tired. Um, Against Derry, they got stronger as the game went on. But they have bodies in midfield. They allow them to um get back into the game. But this is a game where they're expected to win. Maybe not expected to win, but they would themselves would have been expecting themselves to win, and they're 2-0 up. And then once you concede the first goal, it's about character and how do you bounce back, Matt. And sometimes you can have a situation where a team is 2-0 up and you're wondering how they're 2-0 up. But this seemed to be a game where Drogheda were 2-0 up and deserved to be.
Mm.
But like you have to give credit to Waterford. The way they came back, they went 2-0 down, their heads could have folded. They didn't. It's 4 wins in their last 5 games for them. Um,
And a couple of home on the bounce now, because we talked about their home record wasn't great.
I think they had no win at home or something before those 2 wins.
They'd won against
Against
Pats, of
Dundalk and
course.
Drogheda. Oh yeah, that's right. I think that was the only home win, wasn't
Yeah,
it? They had.
yeah.
Um, it was, but this is two in the bounce now for them and building a lot of confidence. They were fourth going into Friday's matches. They're only 3 points behind Shamrock Rovers. If you had said that to them at the start of the season, that after 17 games,
Two
you'd be
games in hand.
3 games in hand, to be 3 points behind Shamrock Rovers, they probably would have laughed at you. But they would also probably have expected that they'd be sitting second in the table, not fourth or fifth. So, um, look, Keith Long doing an excellent job down there. He was appointed, I think, around this time last year to get them out of first division. He did that, and it was about could he keep them in it, and he's doing more than that. They're competing. They've beaten Shelbourne. No, sorry, they've drew with Shelbourne at home. They've beaten some Pats at home. Um, did they go to Daly and won up there as well?
Mm.
So they're picking up good results, and they've Paul Gammond. I think that was it's turning out to be a masterstroke signing. We did have our feelings at the start of the season that maybe was it a risky signing.
But they're using them in the right way as well. As far as I can see, they're telling them stay around the box. Don't be doing
Yeah,
unnecessary
exactly,
running.
exactly. You stay there. We get the ball in D. You put the ball in the net. Simple as that. He's been in England. He's done it. He's decided to come home and help the team in the League of Ireland back to where he started out. And look, it's great to see for him in Waterford that he's able to produce that. But I'm starting to worry now about Drogheda. Um, I think there was a couple of weeks ago where they went in the game against Dundalk with the potential to be bottom of the table at the end of it. They got the win in that game, and for them, it's for they got the win in that game, and from then it's 2 defeats and a draw. The
Mm.
draw came away at Shelbourne. Probably they would have counted themselves unlucky to come away from a draw in that game, but they've got to regroup now going into Friday night and get them. I think we've got three games, and then there's 3 or 4 games, and then there's a mid-season break. So they'll want to finish strong going into that and see what they can do after it. But look, a great win for Waterford, and I know we did you did say at the start, fans should curb their expectation, get them away from the drop zone first, and then concentrate on being higher up the table. And I think they can more than concentrate now on being higher up the table because as long as Galway are staying in that fourth place, then Waterford will be thinking, why can't we be there? St Pats are still finding their feet under Stephen Kenny, so there's no reason why Waterford can't compete for that fourth spot.
Yeah, indeed, they're 10 points ahead of Drogheda now, which is another point too. Bohemians 2, St. Bartholomew's 2 at Daly Park turned out to be a good contest overall. I have to say, Chris Forrester's penalty in 28 minutes, first goal of the season, believe it or not, for a foul on Palmer. Don't think you'd have too many complaints about the foul, to be honest. Akintunde equalised in 40 minutes after a good play on the right hand side. Might have been Dylan Connolly who played it across. Keane Kavanagh, his first goal for St. Pat's right on half time. He finishes as well, to be fair, after good work from Palmer. And then right at the death, once again, Pats were caught. Danny Grant with a header to equalise for Bows at Dalymount. And yeah, overall, JP, it was a bishy game, if that makes sense. It was 2-1 at half time to Pats. They probably just about deserved it. Pats, though, I could see a few subtle changes now, probably for the first time. There was no passing, that kind of passive passing I talked about across the back line. A bit more direct football from Pats, a bit more passing, a bit more width, wide play from Pats in this game. Not exactly a brilliant performance, but you could see changes and subtle changes and that kind of thing. For Bows, they were definitely second best in that second half. And even though it was a late goal at the end of the half from Kavanagh, it was probably just about deserved. In the second half, not an awful lot happened. Keane Kavanagh had one chance for Pats where he flashed past the post. It was a decent effort. And Bows kind of had more of a succession of corners and that, but didn't really look like scoring until the end. And Pats would be disappointed with the defending. Danny Grant was on his own, I should say, at the far post and managed to head home. Obviously, Bowles and Reynolds would be delighted with the character shown by the players in the game to come back and score a late goal and get a point. Pats would be disappointed because, you're always looking for that first win, aren't you, under your new manager? It's the second week in a row where they've let in a late goal that's cost them points. But I suppose the thing is, well, Rory Keating went off, I'd say 10 seconds into the game. JP was he was basically knocked out. I think the game was stopped for 10 minutes. He was knocked out, so speedy recovery to him. I think, as far as I hear, he's okay, actually, and should be returning to training fairly soon. But at the time, you're kind of looking at going, the lad isn't even moving, and there was, I'd say it was 10 minutes before the game restarted. Only 10 seconds into the game. It's just a clash of heads.
What happened?
So, hmm?
Clash of heads, just
Simply a clash of heads, yeah. 10 minutes into the game and he was knocked out cold. Mulroney went off injured as well. Breslin didn't play and Bowles tried to target that down that side of the pitch. Bowles themselves were missing James Clark, who's a loss for them, and Rooney had a bit of a knock, but he came on as a sub. And obviously Danny Grant was the hero at the end. But look, there were some good things I've seen from Pats in the game, as in a few different things. There's a few things have to change in terms of, you've talked about the break a second ago. Maybe that can't come quick enough for Drogheda. Probably the same for Pats, I would say. But probably unlucky not to claim the 3 points, considering they were leading, with seconds to go. And Bowes would be delighted with that because it keeps them 4 points out of Pats with 2 games in hand. And ultimately, decent result for them. And Billy was a very happy man at the final whistle.
I'm sure he was. But great for both. They come from behind twice. And this game they get a point. They'd be disappointed that they got themselves level before half time and then conceded in stoppage time at the
Yeah.
end of the first half. They'd be disappointed in that sense. But it took them an entire half to get back on level terms. But fair play to them. They kept going right to the end. Akintunde scored the first goal. I think he was credited with assist for the second goal. I've seen that. That's probably
It's,
poor from Pat's point of view that they didn't defend it, because I don't think Danny Grant catches it cleanly on his head or
he
maybe
wouldn't
comes
be
off his
renowned
shoulder.
for headers
Um,
either, so.
I think it bobbled over the line. So, but look, you said there you see a bit of a difference in
Hmm.
some Pats, and that comes with Stephen Kenny getting them on the training ground. He
Hmm.
couldn't have asked for a tougher opening. Derry and Shelbourne, with probably literally next to no training. Um, so they get a few days on the training ground preparing for bowls. You'd expect that going into their next game on Friday night against Galway that they'll be probably you'd see um a bit more
Hmm.
progressing. No, it's Galway we're
Hmm.
talking about. They know how
Again, not
to.
easy. We'll get on to that later in the week, but yeah.
it's not easy, and they know how to stifle you. But for Bows, they'll be delighted. Like they get out of there with a point. Alan Reynolds is probably now he's got his feet well under the table. He probably realizes the window's about 5 6 weeks away, and I know they've already signed Jake Carroll.
Just
Coming
one thing
back.
in the Jake Carroll thing, JP, I have to say that he was in training with Bowes when Devine was there as well. So again, he's not exactly getting the decisions. I mean, he would have come in anyway, regardless who was manager.
Yeah,
Let's be honest about it.
yeah. No, I'm just making the point that
Yeah.
they put him in now, so Reynolds will be looking at the squad and thinking, right, well, 1 2 3, not keeping you. XYZ are coming in, so he'll know who he wants to keep. He'll know what he wants, what he needs. It's whether Bohemians allow him that opportunity to move people on and bring people in. We don't exactly know Pat Fenlon's role in the transfer situation. Is he completely hands on, and the manager just has to go with the hand that he's dealt? Um, but
Mm.
said 4 points clear past 2 games in hand. They'll count themselves well in the mix for the top 3 4 as well, because look, they're only 4 points behind Shamrock Rovers, who are not playing well, not consistent. Um, so we keep saying about this fourth place, but third place is still there for up for grabs. Maybe even say second is up for grabs. So teams will be going into the window with that mindset. You know what, third place is there. Why not target it? And but a good point for both. Stephen Kenny will be disappointed he didn't hold on for his first one, but I'm sure he'll be happy that he's got off the mark in terms of getting points, and he'll look forward to now having a full week on the training ground.
Yeah, exactly. At the Brandywell, it also finished 2-2 between Derry City and Sligo. I don't think we expected this, to be fair.
Nope.
Hutchison scored after 18. Duffy with an early second half goal on 52. Moran on 67 and a patching penalty on 83. First of all, the goal from Hutchison. I mean, it was obviously a bit weird. He's gone for the cross, but I don't know. Mar loses the flight of the ball a little bit, does he? Maybe Boyce could close down outside the box a bit quicker as well.
Yeah,
Maybe.
from what I've seen of it, it looks like he's gone for the cross, yes,
Yeah.
but it hasn't gone over Maher's head. I think it's probably squeezed in between Maher and the near post, and then nestled in the far post. I don't think it's gone completely over his head.
It's a
You
little
see
bit of
them
a
ones
freak goal, isn't it?
where he's tried to hang it up at the far post and
Mm,
it's dropped in. I think this one it's gone in for coming off his toe. Look, they all count. So yeah, their boys should have closed it down at the near post. Whether Maher's lost the flight of it, we don't know.
mm.
Only he can tell. Only Reese Hutchinson can tell you if he saw a gap and went for it.
Well, if he's gone for that, it's goal of the
I,
season, nearly.
I don't think he did, but look, fair play to him. He scored. Derry came into this one. Sligo came into this one win and 9, which is a really disappointing result for Derry on the back of that, especially when they're looking to win the league. That they haven't gone into this game and took full advantage. It was probably a game where if Derry get the first goal in it, they probably go on and win it comfortably.
Mm,
But Sligo, I've seen comments from their fans and they absolutely praised the life out of them, and
mm,
they've asked them for more of that, and that's all they ask. They
mm,
they don't expect to win every game, but what they do expect is they expect to fight for for their lives, and you have to credit the Sligo fans for being so patient with this team. Um, for Derry, from the highlights reel, you can never take the highlights reel um at face value, because I wasn't at the game, so I can't comment on it. I'm trying to look at the comments online and then compare them to what I've seen on the highlights. Because and then listen to the two managers. John
mm.
Russell saying, um, Sligo were unlucky not to get a point, or Sligo were unlucky not to get a win. Rory Higgins is saying Sligo were lucky to get a point. So,
You're always going to get that
um,
from the managers, aren't you? Either way, especially from
well,
Derry's point of view, there, like obviously Duffy's goal to equalise, and there was a good chance there where J.R. Wilson does well to clear over the bar. Could have made it, could have put Derry in front where Duffy was coming in. I think it was McMullen who whipped it in. The penalty in 83 from Patchin. Yeah, I think it was a penalty, to be fair, as well. So, and look, McGinty's made some good saves. And at the end there, Hubin's header, It is a brilliant save by McGinty, but who
Point
would
blank.
I'm still expecting him to score that, especially Pat Hooban.
Well, I think it's one of them headers where he's trying to back flick it with his head.
Mm.
Where if he's coming right on it, he probably scores. But then the ball comes back on him, and I think he just snaps at it and puts it over the crossbar. He had a bit more time than he realised, I think.
Mm.
Uh, Now, the Sligo second goal, Brian Maher will be really disappointed.
Really
Derry will be
disappointed.
disappointed as a team. Maher's trying to pick somebody out in midfield. The midfield maybe were a wee bit slow. They recognise that. And fair play to Niall Morahan. He
Read it
ran on
very
it
well, to be fair, didn't he?
straight, straight through a gap and finished it well.
Yeah.
But looking at the highlights reel, Derry finished strongly, got their penalty. McGinty's made a great save. I think there's another one where Danny Mullen keeps it in at the back post. He hasn't quite got the angle to stick it in, but he keeps it alive, and
Mm.
there's nobody reading it.
Mm.
And funny enough, I read a stat after Friday night that it's over 2 years, Keith, since Derry won a game with Rob Hennessy as a referee. Um, and the last time they won was Hennessy with referee was the 4-0 down in Richmond Park, where they were 3-0 in the first half. So, um, look,
Jesus
you can't
Christ.
blame the referee for
Yeah.
Friday
That's
night.
mad.
The
It's a
chances,
mad. It's a mad start, though, isn't it? It's
it
mental.
is mad stat.
It's bizarre.
Look, I thought when I seen the highlights reel, I thought Connor Reynolds was very, very lucky.
I think he
They stay on
was.
the field.
No, I was going to mention. I thought he was. He's a bit
He
rash.
was
He's a young fella. He's
very,
only come
very
into the
lucky.
team. He's done well. He's only 17, but I do think he was very lucky not to pick up a red there.
Um, and
It's high.
that's where the inconsistency comes from the referee, Keith, because I've seen, and I've seen players throughout the league get sent off for less,
Mm.
but I'm going to try and compare the same referee in situations. Like at the end of the last season, Sadou Diallo made a tackle, stretched for the ball, but his foot was planted on the ground, and he caught the man, but his studs was planted on the ground. He caught the man with his toe, and Hennessy gives him a red card for it.
Mm.
Then you fast forward to this season, and you see that tackle, and he's quick with the yellow card.
Mm.
So it's the inconsistencies of refereeing. Now, I'm not saying Rob Hennessy is the reason why Sligo got out there with a point. If he if he had sent Connor Reynolds off there, who's to say Sligo maybe would have defended for lives and nicked one
I
on
don't think too many would
the
have
forward.
complained he was sent off. I think
Yeah,
it shows his inexperience a little bit there because not only that, he comes. There's no need to come rushing in. He just
it
stands
was
his
no,
ground
it
as a
was on the
defender. It's
halfway
high
line.
up the pitch.
It was on the halfway line. It was very
Yeah.
similar to a tackle in pre-season friendly from a Van Hurst player, similar age. Went in for a tackle on Diallo, and Diallo was ended up three,
Mm.
4 months on the sideline. So
Mm.
look, I'm not trying to. 17-year-olds,
Mm.
they make their first team debut, especially in a big game like that. You want to make an impression,
I know.
but
I
at the
think it was
same
a red
time,
card. It should have been a red card, in my
at the
opinion.
same
When I
time, at
seen
the
it,
same time,
yeah.
you want to make an impression, but at the same time, you have to be mindful of your opponent
Mm.
and stuff like that. And look,
I'd be
fair
nearly
play to
certain
Sligo.
John Russell had him at the final or whatever, like, later on and kind of said to him, look, you just need to be
Yeah,
calmer there or whatever, because it's a rush of blood from a 17-year-old,
yeah. Oh,
basically.
that's exactly what it was. But
100%.
look, Ed McGinty was excellent in the final 10 minutes, especially stoppage time. Then 3-4 saves that he made. I think there was a chance just after halftime before Duffy had actually equalised. They had another chance then. Can't remember if he dragged it across the box or McGinty saved it, but there was a save in the first half as well. He
Mm.
saved with his feet at 1-0. So he's a big plus for Sligo. And we keep saying that if they'd lost Max Mata, they couldn't lost McGinty as well. I think they're keeping McGinty at the end of the season, which is a big, big plus for them because he'll win them points between now and the end of the season. Um, Look, fair play to Sligo. They came up to Brandywell, got a point, and they looked to kick on from that. Like they were really disappointing in their 3-0 defeat to Bulls a week before. For Derry, it's another opportunity. Keith Shamrock Rovers were beat, and they've lost ground to Shelbourne. A couple of weeks ago, if they had a beat Shelbourne, they'd have went top of the table. They find themselves now 6 points behind again.
Mm.
And you have to put it on the flip side of like Shelbourne have taken 7 points of Shamrock Rovers this year, where Shamrock Rovers have taken 7 points of Derry. But Derry will look at it and say, they've taken 7 points off us and we're still three above them. So they'll try and take the positive out of it, but they need to start putting a string of wins together. Before the Rovers game, they were in 4 wins and two draws in 6 matches. And it was really good run of form. You're thinking now they're starting to build a bit ahead of steam. To defeat the Rovers, to draw the Sligo, sort of put the brakes on that a wee bit. They've an opportunity on Friday night away to Dundalk, which won't be easy. They try and get back on the one and trail again. So uh, but I think it's at the point now where if they're going to win this league, they have to start putting a run of results together, wins together, um, just to keep with Shelbourne because Shelbourne look like they're not going to run out of steam.
Yeah, no, honestly, yeah, you're right there, but that's Sligo are concerned as well. Like, yeah, great point for Sligo and very important for their morale. Kyle McDonough, 16-year-old, came off the bench, made his debut as well. So interested to see if he plays over the next few weeks. But yeah, absolutely, JP. DC Park finished Galway United 2, Dundalk nil, and I don't know if Galway United are a bit of a bogey team for Dundalk because that's 3 times in the last year they've played them and they haven't scored. They've conceded 8 against them, and common consensus seems to be that this was Galway's, well, according to John Caulfield, this was Galway's best performance of the season, unbeaten in 9 for a promoted team, up in the 4th in the league, 4 defeats in 17. Remarkable, really. Munro, OG in 23 minutes. He comes for the corner and he kind of backflips it basketball style back in the net. I don't know what happens. Does he lose the flight of the ball or something? But a bit of panic because Galway have a lot of big men. And Maurice Nugent, another corner taken this time. I think it was Dave Hurley who knocked it in. Nugent, who's been on the score sheet a few times recently, made it 2-0 from a corner in 72 minutes. And poor enough performance, I think, from Dundalk. And obviously Drogheda will be delighted with that. There's still 3 points in it after their performance on Thursday. And we'll get on to Dundalk in a minute because obviously we've a new appointment to talk about. We always have to talk about Dundalk every week about something in a sense outside the football matches, you know what I mean? But Galway just keep going on, JP.
Yeah, we did say at the start that they would probably be one of the teams near the drop, but they're proving us all wrong. As our Waterford, we did say Dundalk would probably be down and around there along with them, but Galway are they're looking up. They're looking at the European spots. They're only 1 point behind Shamrock Rovers with 2 games in hand, so um, th- they're getting ambitious. I think. Uh, as I did say, the 2 biggest assets they have because player wise they don't have the quality in the man for man in terms of
Hmm.
squad. They have the quality of maybe say the likes of Bohemians and Pats. Who else is there?
They've tried to build a team specifically,
Sligo.
haven't they, though, JP? Like, it's a very
Yeah,
physical team, so
yeah,
they've a clear approach. They've
yeah,
gone with this is what they're going for, isn't it? A physical side that will put you under serious pressure from set pieces, and you have to be very, very organised and focused against them. And people might see that as an insult in a way. It's not an insult, it's the opposite, in fact. They can play football as well, but that added, you know, they're so physical, it's unbelievable, and they're big men, and it's difficult to play against. You might know what they're going to do, but stopping it is another thing.
yeah. Well, Caulfield and Corgan have come up and realised that they're not going to stay up by playing the
Mm.
same type of football as the other teams around them because they don't have the squad. They probably
Even a Waterford.
whenever we say they don't have a budget, they probably do have a budget because
No,
their
do,
owners are pretty wealthy. Like,
yeah.
but they've come up with a plan that um there's only one way to stay in this division and it's this way and they've built a team they suit the way they want to play and
There's no
that's
fancy dans, there's no
that
passengers.
that is that is to be difficult to beat. Get the ball forward, hope for a knockdown, score off that, get a set piece, ball in the box, whatever.
Mm.
Because they're not going to go out and play this nice build up from the back and pick you off one by one. And that's what they're probably the only team in the league that you know what you're going to get from them from week to week.
Mm.
And it's very well organized. They don't concede a lot of goals. They've 13 goals scored now, 9 conceded in 17 games or something like
Five
that.
goals in 2 games, though.
They score. Yeah, they're starting to open up a wee bit and express themselves, aren't they? um, but they will have been absolutely joyous with that victory at Drogheda, the way it came, 2 goals in stoppage time, and they would have kicked on. It's 3 wins in a row now against Dundalk. One in the cup last year, 2 this year, 3 clean sheets, I think it is as well. So
Mm.
um, they're they're not here just to make up the numbers. They're here to compete. We're
Because I
halfway through
think
the
the way
season.
Caulfield would have looked at this genuinely, really deep down, going into Friday, let's say, against Drogheda, he would have looked at the next two fixtures were against Drogheda and Dundalk, the bottom two teams of the league. If they could somehow pick up 6 points, this is what he'd be thinking. It gets them further away. I think they'll be still thinking with that mentality in the dressing room, maybe even more so than, say, the mentality in the Waterford dressing room. I still think Horgan and Caulfield will be doing that, keeping their feet on the ground. We have to keep, if we don't work, harder than the opposition, we're going to be beaten. I think that's the mentality they put into the players, probably.
Yeah, well, they probably do have to work harder than the opposition because, as I said earlier, it's man for man, we don't have the squad of maybe the other 9 team. Mind they probably have a better squad than Dundalk, but the other 8 teams that's in the division. Um, so they have to basically outwork you rather because they're not going to outrun you, they're not going to outplay you, so they have to outwork you, and that's I think they'll probably look at the league table now and they'll probably not want to be complacent. They'll probably want to like, you know what? They'll probably say, right, we have to get to 30 points. Um, and then that's us if we can look up. I think they're on, was it
27.
7? So they're only 3 points off. At the start of the season, they probably looked at maybe 30, 35 points. Should be enough to maybe get them a playoff spot. They're well on their way to that. But I think they'd be more than safe. Even with more just a half a season to go, I don't think they'll be anywhere near the bottom two. I don't think Sligo, Dundalk, and Drogheda will be
Mm.
consistent enough to be able to close that type of gap to Galway. And I think the Emmons and Waterford can start looking up rather than down.
Yeah, as for Dundalk, obviously there's a new man in town. John Daly has taken over, and a couple of things here. He was actually in the dugout for this game. He wasn't supposed to be, but I'm not counting this as his first game because he didn't manage the side at all. Like didn't prepare the team at all. But it's an interesting one because obviously since he lost his job at St Patrick's Athletic, he went back to Scotland. He's come back again, and what makes this interesting for me is that there was literally nothing like I sometimes hear things from the doc. I heard nothing about a John Daly link or anything. None of the journalists, like, the Irish Independent journalists, any of them, whatever, there was nothing about John Daly going to Dundalk. It just happened, which is very, very interesting. But what do you make of the appointment overall?
Surprising.
Hmm.
Um,
Is it good
surprising
or
from
bad though?
I don't know. Surprising from Dundalk. Surprising from
John's
the
perspective.
sense of that John Daly has decided to take that job. He's obviously attracted by it, or he wouldn't have taken it.
Hmm.
Um, he took over St. Pat's around this time last year, maybe a bit earlier.
Bit earlier, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
got them well organised, won them the cup. He's probably looked at the squad. I think he's played Dundalk a couple of times this season already, so he's probably watched them on a few occasions as well. So he probably thinks he's got someone there that he can work with. They're
Hmm.
not too far adrift, is what he's probably thinking as well. That we're not too far adrift from Drogheda or Sligo. We can maybe build something here, um, and get ourselves closer to them too, and put them under pressure because right now everybody's expecting Dundalk just to fall apart and get relegated. And I'll tell you, I was surprised by it because you're thinking maybe are they going to go down Ian Barraclough? Are they going to go down this route, that route? Because I know Barraclough was linked initially before Noel King got it.
That was a
But,
serious link as well.
yeah, but I think something to do with Cheltenham wouldn't release him or whatever. He wouldn't
Hmm.
speak to Dundalk, was held that up. But um, I'm surprised from John's perspective that he took Dundalk. I thought maybe he might have taken a wee bit of time and seen what was out there, not just in the League of Ireland, but maybe in Scotland where his family still live. And
Hmm.
um,
He clearly,
but
though,
no,
from the way he was talking very quickly there, he clearly got a phone. Like, he hasn't applied for this job again. He
yeah,
clearly got a phone call and has obviously listened and decided to go for it.
yeah,
Maybe he feels like he's nothing to lose with this
yeah.
job.
But look, like, fair play to him for taking it, for taking on this challenge because he could have sat and twiddled his thumbs and thought, no, well, I'm bigger than that. I've won an FA Cup. I've managed teams in European football. He could have targeted that type of job, but he's targeted this type of challenge now. They prove himself in a different way, and look, I hope for his sake that it pays off, and because I think many people would have written him off
Mm.
this season after how he won in the cup and then failing on the back of that. People would have written him off. So fair play to him. He's gone in there, and I think he's gone in there with a point to prove that. Look, it was just a bad start to the season. Basically, is for Dundalk, or sorry for him at St. Pat's, and he wants to prove himself again in this league. And
Be very interested to see how he sets up. If he sets up very similar to the way he tries to set up with Pats, or not, that'll be interesting for me, to be honest.
yeah, look, we don't know like the players that Dundalk have. We don't really know them. Apart from the guys that have stayed there, Boyle, Mountney, Benson, Horgan. Hershey Davis was there last year. Outside of that, we don't really know them. We don't know what they can bring. We know Jamie Gullen can score goals if given the service, but what other stuff are around there, we don't know. So look, it'll be an interesting one.
Mm.
They look out for over the next few weeks. I'll see it firsthand on Friday night because I'll probably watch the game against Derry. So see how John Daly sets up and etc. So look, I think he said he met the players at 4 o'clock. So
Mm.
he obviously didn't have any input into the game, but um, obviously his first game in charge will be probably Derry on Friday night. I think that has to be classed as his first in charge, to be honest with you.
100%. Finally, the biggest game of the weekend. We left the last finish. Shamrock Rovers 0, Shelbourne 2. Jarvis on 19 from the penalty spot. Jarvis on 58 from the penalty spot with his 6th and 7th goals of the season. Absolutely massive win, this JP for Shelbourne. They're 6 clear Derry, obviously, as we mentioned previously, but they're 9 clear Shamrock Rovers now. And a couple of things to unpack here. Firstly, I think from Shamrock Rovers' point of view, 3 defenders gone off injured in the first half. I mean, Hounahan went off, Cleary went off, and Clark went off. I mean, I don't care what team you are. If you lose 3 defenders in the first half, organisational point of view for a start, you're a bit all over the place. And that's what happened, I think, with the second penalty where Pico's a bit exposed. Lee Grace came on. He probably isn't ready to be playing, really. And obviously Lopez picked up 2 yellows, which I think was fair enough, to be honest. But and there were 2 penalties. There's no argument there. I don't think Rovers fans would argue with that. But again, Rovers had chances before any of this happened, let's say. They had opportunities. I think Trevor Clark hits the post. Kenny has a great chance after Burke plays it across. He probably should score. He'll feel he should score that. And they missed opportunities. But, bit of bad luck in the game, you'd have to say, for Shamrock Rovers. But the luck seems to be going the way with Shelbourne at the moment. And they 1,000,000% took advantage of that. And it's a huge, huge win for them. And just quickly on Shamrock Rovers before we move on, I know people keep expecting them to go on a run. But if they keep up this carry on with the amount of injuries they have, etc., they're not going to go on a consistent run, and it's a serious problem for them. I think they've about 10 players missing for the game on Friday, and remember there's Friday and Monday games coming up. But it's a big blow for them. But to get 3 defenders injured, JP, not just 3 players, but 3 defenders in one line, if you like, is a killer, isn't it? One game.
Yeah, like we've spoken about Derry's injuries, and how that has halted their momentum and expectations, and like I'm sure Shelbourne have injuries as well. But what they are is they're difficult. They do the basics, and they don't try and overcomplicate it, and that's why they're getting the results that they're getting. They went on a run at the start of the season with 1 draw and 6 wins. I think that's now 3 wins in a row from them after 2 wins and 9 or something.
Mm.
They went and had that. I'm not sure if they went out and had their blowout over the weekend a couple of weeks ago after. Was it
But we said that
the
might do them good, and if they
Yeah,
did,
that's what I was getting to. That's what I was
yeah,
getting to.
if they did, it has.
I can't remember if it was after a draw or
Yeah.
a win. I can't remember what it was, but it's 3 wins on the bounce for them now. They're 6 points clear of Derry. I did say a couple of weeks ago that if Shelbourne are going to win it, they're going to have to stay in front. I think if they go behind, that's when they could falter a wee bit. But right now they're staying in front. They're taking advantage of Derry dropping points. They've put the boot on the Shamrock Rovers because they kicked Rovers while they were down, where Derry couldn't do that. In the 2 previous games this season, Derry played 3 times, took 1 point. Rovers have played them 3 times, took 7 points. So look, fair play to Shelbourne. They're top of league. They're the team they catch right now. Derry, I think Derry won't panic. They're 6 points behind. They still have to play Shelbourne twice. One of them was in the last game of the season at the Brandywell. So it's going to be interesting. Shamrock Rovers, I'm sure they won't panic, but they will be concerned because they do have a lot of injuries. As you touched on there, three defenders injured, and they probably didn't have enough defenders to bring on because I just looked there and seen
Went
that
to, it went a
one of
bit.
the
It was all over the place that way. Yeah.
one of the players that came on for Trevor Clark, Aaron Green, Aaron McAnuff came on for George Linehan. Um, it explains, it says it all.
I could be wrong here, but I think Poon went back into the defence, for example.
But look, somebody said Shelbourne only won because they got two penalties. Well, they all count, as I said about the Reece Hutchinson goal. It still counts as long as you score it legally.
You still have to win the first penalty. The first penalty was a foul on Matty Smith as he was trying to clear through. Pico, I do think, tried to play the ball and he didn't. That's why he got a yellow. But there's a chance Smith scores if Pico doesn't foul him. So people can say things like that all they like. You know what I mean? The fact is he was 1-on-1 as such with the goalkeeper. You know.
Yeah. Look, and fair dues, they Shelbourne, like they went to tell them that they picked up 3 points, and it's becoming a regular occurrence this year for teams. Waterford have done it. Shelbourne have now done it. I think somebody else has done it already this season. Derry came close to it, and the first time they went down there,
And even with Pats' poor form, they got a point there recently and could have nicked it at the end. You know, so they've been dodgy there. Rovers.
Galway got a point there as well. So
Yeah.
they went from a couple of years ago where I think they'd won 17 or 16 or 17 out of their 18 home games. They now that they're dropping points consistently at home.
I think they were unbeaten at home that year as well. I think they only drew
They
one or
were.
two.
That's what I mean. It was 18 wins and 2 draws or something like that.
Here it is, JP. 10 home games, right? 4 wins, 4 draws, 2 defeats for Shamrock.
Yeah.
That's not great for them, is it?
It's not, but it's not great for them.
Yeah.
But they're still third in the home form table, so it just shows you how inconsistent the league is. Derry and Shelbourne are the two teams that have picked up more points at home than them this season. Derry, over the course of the last few years, we've been saying Derry's home form was letting them down, but this year Derry have sorted that out, but they're unable to sort out. Derry sorted out to an extent, but their away form's just not what it was a couple of years ago, which is why they're trailing Shelbourne at the minute. But look, Shelbourne are up. Duff will not get carried away. I know he said on Friday night that he didn't look at the league table before the game. He was watching something on Netflix. And then after the game, he said that
he could have been looking at the league table on his phone while he was watching Netflix.
He said after the game that even if they were 100 points clear there in Shamrock Rovers, they still wouldn't be favourites.
I do get where he's coming from because he does realise that Derry and Rovers have stronger squads. But at the same time, they are you have to say they're a serious contender now.
Yeah, he's trying to play it down.
Yeah,
he's trying to play it down. He's trying to keep the pressure off his players. How much longer he can do that, I don't know. But the longer they go on top of the table, the more belief that they'll get. That they can go on and win it. It's whether the likes of Derry can reel them in and overtake them. That's when I think we'll see how strong Shelbourne actually are. You know, and I'm not trying to write them off on that regard. I'm just trying to.
And of course, that's if that happens, isn't it?
Yeah,
if the likes of Derry Rovers got ahead of them.
That's what I'm saying. It'll be interesting. I've said that already, Keith. It'll be interesting if Derry reel them in and overtake them, how they'll respond to it. They're 9 points clear as Shamrock Rovers. I'm not going to sit here and say that that's Rovers out of it. I'm not going to say that. It could all change in the matter of a week.
I think, without getting into too much details, we talked about it in the prediction show a bit, but I think the Friday and Monday game with the injuries Rovers have, it's going to be a massive 2 games for them. I think that could be, it's what happens after this result that might tell a lot, if you get me, on the Friday and the Monday. Certainly from a Shamrock Rovers perspective, but they look like a team that just, as I say, if you keep getting injuries like that as well, players are coming in that mightn't be fully right or mightn't be up to the level of fitness, and they are struggling. People say, sure, they have a great squad, but there's but even 9 or 10 players missing, just hypothetically, from all season, say that happens. It's very unlikely you're going to win a league, isn't it?
Oh, it is. But from a Shelbourne point of view, it'll be interesting when they get into Europe
Mm.
how they cope with that. I know they've played their European games already, in sense of the fixtures that they're due to play that weekend have been played, so they'll not have any fixture congestion.
Mm.
But if they go into Europe, get a tough draw, get knocked out, then they've no league game for 2 or 3 weeks. They're waiting around. How do they cope with that?
Mm.
If they win a game, go into the next round, that's when then the fixture congestion then starts to come. We saw it with Derry last year, where they got knocked out of Europe and the cup in the space of a couple of days. I think that's where Shelbourne will be tested in around July and August,
Mm.
depending on how well they do in Europe. But look, Shamrock Rovers, I don't care who you are,
Mm.
what team you are. You've seen it with Liverpool this year in the Premier League, and our teams, they were missing 10, 12, 13 players at one stage, and they were having to dip into their academy or young players like that. They just fulfill benches. And if teams in the Premier League can't do it, how can you expect teams in the League of Ireland to be able to cope with it? Like the players are losing, not fringe players. They're
Mm.
losing squad players. They're losing
First team
starting
players.
11 and then first team players. That's what I'm trying to say. So Monday, Friday's coming up for them. It'll be interesting. I think they Drogheda, Galway, and Bows. I think is that. I think
Mm.
that's the run of fixtures I have.
Yeah,
If
I think
Drogheda
so.
on Friday, Drogheda away, I think,
Draw it away for
and then
sure, and then Galway at home, I think. Yeah.
Galway away. I think it is.
Oh no, it's Galway way as well. You're right. Yeah, it's Galway way as
Yeah.
well. So
Gal Drogheda, Galway.
yeah.
Drogheda, Galway, Bows. Bows is the home game. And if Bows it's a Dublin derby, and we know form goes out the window. But
Mm.
if they go into that game with players missing, Bows could potentially smell blood in that game. But look, you've been asking me all year, are Shelbourne in a title race? Well, I think they're favourites now, Keith. To be honest with you.
Oh, big shout. Let us know what you think in the comments, guys. Shelbourne fans, are your favourites for the title? Are you going to play it down or what? Shamrock Rovers fans, let us know what you think as well. And if you're a fan of any club. Thanks for watching, JP. Thanks very much.
Cheers, Keith.